Hello and welcome to another edition of Only in Illinois, your weekly video recap from Reboot Illinois. I'm Madeline Dubeck here with Matt Dietrich, and this week we witnessed one of the fastest falls from grace we've ever seen when Congressman Aaron Schock announced his resignation after 6 weeks of drip, drip, drip of stories about questionable spending.
Right, and it all started on February 2nd when the Washington Post published what appeared to me anyway as a kind of an innocuous story about this extensive interior design renovation of Aaron Schock's congressional office in the Rayburn building in Washington, D.C. It was redecorated in the style of the Red Room of Downton Abbey, and it turns out it cost $40,000. But then things started coming to light that weren't so innocuous, like the fact that he had charged it to his campaign.
Right, and so he ended up reimbursing that.
He ended up
paying the decorator who's from his district in Peoria. But that was just the start.
Right, and what quickly came out was that on Capitol Hill there had long been rumors about Aaron Schock's kind of high-flying lifestyle. And in fact, on RebootIllinois.com just a couple months ago, we did a post about Aaron Schock's famous Instagram account where he posted all these pictures from these vacations and his world travels. And you know, we posted it more or less as kind of an amusing thing. It was the dead of winter, and here's Aaron Schock
climbing a glacier in Patagonia,
and even
surfing in Hawaii.
Right, and even last summer at the Illinois State Fair on Republican Day,
right.
Aaron Schock was introduced as the holder of the best Instagram account in Congress. And then Aaron Schock came on the stage to introduce Republican candidate Bruce Rauner, which kind of shows Aaron Schock's stature in the party here in Illinois. He was a star, a rising star. But he wasn't just a star here in Illinois, he was extremely adept at fundraising. And he became a favorite for fundraising of his colleagues in Congress, and he would fly all over to their districts to hold these fundraisers. And this set off another tripwire for Aaron Schock because he had very expensive taste in hotels and restaurants, and there had been some talk about that. And no sooner did the Washington Post story about the Downton Abbey office come out,
right,
than you have reporters digging into other aspects of Aaron Schock's expenses.
Lynn Sweet reporting that he took a private jet from Peoria to Chicago for a Bears game last fall, charged that to taxpayers.
Right, and no sooner did that story appear in the Sun-Times then Aaron Schock is writing a $1,200 check to reimburse the government because he billed that to his congressional office, which is you, the taxpayers.
And so next up was Politico digging in and putting an entire team of reporters into digging into his campaign finance records and his charges to taxpayers. And what did they find?
Well, in the midst of all this, of course, Aaron Schock hires lawyers and a PR firm to begin doing some damage control. But I think by then it was too late because Politico had dug in, and then this week Politico was about to come out with a story that said that Aaron Schock had submitted 170,000 miles worth of mileage reimbursements for travel within his district.
Which is perfectly
legit. They're allowed, they do allow traveling in their districts,
sure,
and they're allowed to charge that to their congressional office expenses. The problem was he put this mileage on a Chevy Tahoe that he had bought in 2010 and that he traded in the summer of 2014. But when he traded it in, it had only 80,000 miles. That's a 90,000 mile discrepancy that he had charged to taxpayers. Politico asked him for an explanation of it, and that was the day that he announced that he would resign on March 31st.
So here is a 33-year-old, one of the youngest members of Congress, took office when he was 27, had limitless potential, considered running for Illinois governor for a short period of time there, decided not to do that, has national stature, is on the cover of Men's Health magazine, bare-chested, and is running around the country and the world, fundraising and meeting with dignitaries and so on and so forth. And like that, he flies a little too close to the sun, as you put it this week.
And plummets to
Earth.
And this isn't over yet. By announcing his resignation, he headed off an investigation by the Congressional Ethics Office.
Right.
But that does nothing to stop the Justice Department from continuing its investigation, and one would hope they would, given the size of these allegations. And you know, as we've noted, the last Illinois congressman to resign from office,
Jesse Jackson Jr.
was Jesse Jackson Jr., who's now in prison. And Jesse Jackson Jr. got in trouble because he used his campaign fund for all kinds of extravagant personal spending. Aaron Schock, on the other hand, had been a lot of talk about his campaign fund spending, including about a year ago, it was a pair of $2,600 cufflinks that he charged to his campaign. But in addition to the campaign problems, Aaron Schock did a lot of things, did a lot of billing that was taxpayer money, not just donor money. That gets into a different realm.
That takes it up a whole different...
Right. He hasn't been charged with any wrongdoing. He hasn't been accused of any wrongdoing at this point. But you can't deny the parallels between this case and the Jesse Jackson Jr. case.
Right.
So I would expect, as a taxpayer, and if you're a constituent of Aaron Schock, and especially if you're a donor to his campaign, you would expect that now the government's going to take a look at this.
You would think, yes. So we have that to look forward to, presumably. We'll see what happens, but there's also now a vacancy for the seat in Congress for Central Illinois.
Right, and it looks like Schock's predecessor, Ray LaHood's son, Darren LaHood, who was a state senator from Peoria, is now a candidate to take over the seat that his father once held. Now, I would think he'd be a very strong candidate because this is a very, very Republican seat. You have Schock, then you have Ray LaHood, and before Ray LaHood you had Bob Michael, who was legendary.
House Republican leader.
And for years was the minority leader. He left office right before the Republicans took over, right when Newt Gingrich took over as Speaker of the House. So the mechanics on this are that Aaron Schock leaves office as of March 31st. Governor Rauner has 5 days to announce a special election date. The special election needs to be within 120 days of when Schock leaves office. So sometime between now and August, the end of summer, we'll have a special election.
We'll have a special election for that seat. And once again, we're suffering from a black eye in Illinois when it comes to the national political story, and this one was on Jon Stewart and has been all over the place, so not good in that regard, but
the higher you fly, the farther you're going to fall.
All right, so that's it for this week's edition. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next edition of Only in Illinois.